All right, let's start talking some HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. And for that, we're going to look at the HTML basic notes here. So as I said, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It tells the browser what content to display. So one of the key elements for HTML, key elements is HTML elements. I didn't even do that on purpose. Anyway, these HTML elements are very important, and an element consists of an opening tag, the content for the element, and then a closing tag. So this is a P tag, which represents a paragraph. Okay, and you can see here there's H1 tags, which are big headings, level 1 headings. H2, H3 tags are elements. Those are level 2 and level 3 headings, and then a paragraph element. And we could see that in our landing page here as well, right? If we go to the elements here, right? That's an H1 element, an H2 element, paragraph, HR, image element, all that good stuff. Okay. Now we're getting ahead of ourselves, myself a little bit here, because I just talked about an opening tag and a closing tag. But in the notes here, we talk about, well, attributes first. Some elements have attributes that go inside of the opening tag. So for example, a link would have an href attribute, right? And the href equals where that link will take you to. Okay. You can have images that have source attributes, and we can see that in this landing page, right? These paragraphs have an ID attribute, which helps us identify that individual paragraph. This image has a source attribute and an alt attribute and a width attribute, which gives a little more information about that element. Okay. So there's HTML elements that usually have an opening tag, closing tag, and content. HTML elements can have attributes, right, that give us more information about the element. And some elements are self-closing elements. They don't have any content or closing tags. They are just an opening tag. And it's pretty logical because like an HR tag, a horizontal rule, there's no content, it's just a line, right? So there's no text for me to write and then have a closing tag with. Same with an image, right? There's no text for me to write in between like a heading. I just tell it, hey, this image is going to get its source from this location, so that it'll display that onto the screen. Okay, so those are self-closing tags. Are there any? Oh, a BR tag is a line break. Okay, that's a self-closing tag. It's just like hitting enter. It'll go to the next line. Okay, now we've learned about these HTML elements, and where do these HTML elements go? Well, when we write an HTML document, we have a certain page structure. Okay, and the first line declares, hey, this is an HTML document. This HTML stuff here is the root element. Everything goes inside of that HTML element, right? Starts here, ends here. Inside of the root element, there's a head and a body. Just take a look at yourself. You've got one head and one body. This page structure should just have one head and one body. Okay, inside the head is information about the web page. It shouldn't be any visible content. So this title is basically like the title of the web page, and it'll show up on right here, I think inside the head. Title is landing page. The browser uses that to display in the tab. If I did like a search engine for this, it would look up that title. That's what it would display. Okay. In the body is where all the visible content goes, and that's where you're going to put your headings and your paragraphs and your images and your lists and links and all that good stuff. Okay, so declaration of an HTML document, the root element, a head and a body. The body is where all the visible content goes, and this is kind of information about the website. And there's more stuff that can go in here. We'll talk about that later. Okay, some common elements we should get familiar with. There's headings, all the way from a level 1 heading to a level 6 heading. Paragraphs, each horizontal rules, line breaks, images, links, right, where you click on it, it'll take you somewhere just like these. These are unordered lists and ordered lists. These are strong EM and span tags, buttons, and input elements. Little note here on buttons and input elements. These are often used in forms, but we're going to keep things simple and not use forms. And if you want to learn more about these, you can click on this and it'll take you to W3 Schools, which is a nice resource. There's way more than what I'm teaching you, but I've kind of highlighted the key things you should know, the most common elements that we'll be using. And it shows you can let's try it yourself, and it'll show you the result. Hey, look at this, and there's the result. Okay. Anyway, that is the main idea. HTML describes the content of the web page, all of these different headings, paragraphs, horizontal lines, images, all that good stuff. The elements and attributes are important, right? Opening tags, closing tags. And I think in the next video, we will get set up with a programming environment, a code editor, so that we can start playing around with some of these HTML elements and see what they look like. Okay, hope that made sense, and take care. We'll see you in the next video.